The city of Wilmington, Delaware, is a place of old money and quiet respectability. It's where power brokers move in hushed circles and where the most prestigious families are known by their names alone. In the mid-1990s, no name was more powerful, more revered, than Thomas Capano. He was a prominent lawyer, a former prosecutor, and a fixture in state politics. He had the charm of a Southern gentleman and a reputation for being a brilliant, albeit intimidating, legal mind. But on June 27, 1996, a woman named Anne Marie Fahey vanished. She was 30 years old, a scheduled secretary for the governor of Delaware, and by all accounts, a vibrant, kind-hearted woman. Anne Marie had been in a long-term relationship with Tom Capano, a fact that had surprised many who knew her. He was twice her age, married, had 4 daughters, and held a position of such high esteem that their affair seemed an odd, mismatched union. Police began their investigation with the usual questions. Was it a kidnapping? Was it a runaway? Her family was frantic. Her friends were baffled. Their search led them to Capano, who claimed he was the last person to see her alive. He told detectives that Anne Marie had stormed out of his apartment after an argument and that he assumed she had gone to New York. The police, respecting his status and seemingly credible account, didn't immediately see him as a suspect. But a few things didn't sit right. Anne Marie had no reason to go to New York. She had left her car behind, and her family said she would never simply disappear. As the weeks turned into months, the case went cold. Anne Marie's friends, however, refused to give up. They had always been suspicious of Capano, and they began pressuring authorities to look closer at the man who had the means and the connections to make a problem disappear. Then, a year after the disappearance, a man named Jerry Capano, Thomas's younger brother, came forward with a shocking confession. Jerry, a commercial real estate developer, told police a bizarre and horrifying story. He claimed that on the night of Anne Marie's disappearance, Thomas had called him and asked for his help disposing of something. Jerry, thinking it was a piece of furniture, met his brother at a storage unit. When he arrived, he was horrified to find Anne Marie's body, wrapped in a blanket. Thomas, in a state of frantic desperation, had told him that Anne Marie had died in a tragic accident. He claimed she had stumbled and hit her head in his apartment. Jerry, terrified and blindly loyal, helped his older brother. They loaded the body into a cooler and drove out to a fishing boat. At sea, under the cloak of night, they weighed down the cooler and dumped it into the Atlantic Ocean. The police found evidence that a cooler had indeed been purchased by Thomas Capano, and they confirmed the boat trip that Jerry mentioned. They were certain they had their killer. The police learned that Anne Marie had been trying to end her affair with Thomas Capano. She had recently started a new relationship with someone else, a man her own age. Capano had become increasingly jealous and controlling. The accident story was a lie. He had shot Anne Marie at the back of her head as she had tried to leave him. The prosecution argued that Thomas Capano was a psychopath. He hadn't killed Anne Marie in a fit of rage or by accident. He had shot her in cold blood. He then called his brother and manipulated him into helping, framing the event as a tragic accident to ensure his brother's loyalty and complicity. Thomas Capano was so confident in his ability to control everyone and everything around him that he believed he could literally get away with murder. In the end, Thomas Capano's arrogance became his downfall. He was convicted of first-degree murder in 1999 and sentenced to life in prison. He would never reveal where he had dumped Anne Marie's body, a final, sadistic act of control. Anne Marie's family never found closure, but they got justice. The man who had everything, a brilliant career, wealth, as well as respect, had lost it all because of jealousy, arrogance, and a false sense of invincibility. Thomas Capano died in prison in 2011, taking the location of Anne Marie's body with him to the grave.